Welcome to the Joe Pavich Podcast. This show is all about what got people where they are today. Work-life mix, struggles, the grind, the process, and the message. Welcome to the Joe Show. Welcome to the Joe Pavich Podcast. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Above and Beyond Painting and First Source Title. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much anywhere, and the joepavichpodcast.com. You can find merch, looking for sponsorships, whatever. Today, I'd like to introduce my guest, Ray Bourque. Ray is a former NHL Hall of Famer and holds the record for the most goals as a defenseman. Played for the Boston Bruins for 21 seasons. Finished his career where he won the Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanches as a defenseman. Ray, thank you so much for coming out. Great to see you.
Good to see you, Joe. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming in. You know, it's amazing. 21 seasons. That's a long history right there.
Yeah, it's, a kid from Montreal. I was pretty spoiled as a kid watching the Montreal Canadiens win cups. And, in my Hall of Fame speech, I remember just thanking the Canadiens for making a young kid dream about playing in the NHL one day. And that happened in 1979. And, I was drafted by the Bruins, 8th overall in the first round. And at that point, I was just hoping to make the team and play, if I could play 10, 12 years in the NHL, I thought that would be an amazing career. I ended up playing 22 years and almost 21 for the Bruins. So, I could never have dreamt on playing 22 years and doing the things I did in 22 years and all the stats and the success. And, I think if a kid comes in thinking that way, I think he's pretty conceited and probably not well liked. But I just lived the dream, man. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's great. You had 1,612 games. Almost 1,600 points. That's amazing, especially as a defenseman. You're the first line of defense for the goalie, right?
Yeah, and I was, and I was very responsible defensively. You think all those points and all that stuff, I was just thinking offense, but defense always came first for me. And to put up those kind of numbers, I just, I loved all phases of the game. I liked being involved in the offense. I wanted to be very hard to play against. And when I look at my career and never really gave myself credit while I was doing it, but when I look back on it and when I talk about it, I talk about trying to look for perfection in all phases of my game, knowing that you're never going to reach it, but approaching it that way day in, day out made me the best I could be.
Yeah.
And it pushed me, but it pushed my teammates because I approach practice that way. I approach my workouts that way, my off-season workouts that way, my preparation that way. And when I talk to kids and anybody, I'm like, I don't care what you're doing, but if you're looking to be perfect every day, knowing that it's impossible to reach that, you are going to be the best you could be because you're pushing yourself every day to be as good as you could be. And that's when I look at my career and how consistent I was, and I'm very proud of how consistent I was because, some guys might have an amazing year when they're up for contract and then, they sign the big deal or whatever it could be. And then they're like, okay, what happened? For me, I was, I want to be good. I want to be great every day. So I think when I look back on my career, that's why I had the success and I was consistent year in, year out.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's almost like those bad times and the days where you're not feeling as great, right? It's more important then to step up your game.
Yeah, you're not going to feel great every day. And you look at hockey, just the schedule. I was listening to, I listen to NHL Network on when I drive around my car and all that kind of stuff, and they're talking about, playing 8 games in 15 days. That is nuts. And how, the coach was talking about his team and how, hey, sometimes you just realize that the schedule and the guys, I can't I can't squeeze that grape any more than I am right now. And it's understandable that, hey, we might have been off last night because of the schedule. And those nights where you don't feel it, you got to find a way to get the job done.
That's right.
Or even my workouts, like in the summer, I loved a crappy day, a rainy day. And guys would look outside maybe and say, oh, it's raining too hard. I can't go out for my run, or I can't do this. I found that those days I was getting a step up on those guys that weren't going out and doing their workout that day, right? So that was my philosophy, how I thought, and I met somebody very special. When I talk about my off-ice workouts, when I was 14 years old, my high school gym teacher, his name is Benoit Leduc in Montreal, he had a track and field team, and 4 of his runners went to the Olympics. Ben was the middle distance coach for the Canadian Olympic team in Seoul in LA. He went to all kinds of Commonwealth Games. Well, this guy started training me at the age of 16, and till the day I retired, trained me. Every summer would give me a 3-month program that I would follow, like right on every summer. I was always a really good hockey player, but he made me an elite athlete.
Sure.
Allowed me to play, all those years, I think, allowed me to play those minutes that I played. And one of my very best friends to this day, he's 77 years old. He's my son's godfather, and everybody calls him Uncle Ben, a very special man that made a difference in my life. So, people that sometimes you meet along the way really has a major impact on what you end up doing in life.
It's got to be amazing for him to see what you did, what you accomplished.
Yeah, we're a team.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, I'm sure, but if people know that, he's the guy that trained me and all that stuff. So sometimes when things are going great, awesome, and then every once in a while in Montreal, I'll say, hey, what's going on with your guy? If I'm going through a tough stretch or whatever. But it's been fun. We've shared a lot of special moments together.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrations, and always a guy that I could lean on for advice, or just having somebody to talk to about whatever I've been good and bad times.
Well, he's known you so long, so he's known you as a kid through your adulthood, through being a Hall of Famer. So he knows you more than anyone on the ice, right?
He knows me better than. There might be one person that knows me better, and that's my wife that I've been married to for 43 years.
Yeah.
No, it's been a special relationship.
Yeah. Well, sports is a lifestyle. So, baseball family, right? I played baseball. My son Joey plays. My son Jake plays. My daughter Juliana, she plays volleyball. But it's a lifestyle, right? You don't learn on the ice. You do, or you don't learn on the field. As I tell my son, learning on the ice actually would probably be different than learning on the field. But it's all the things that you do off the field in baseball to become great on the field. Practicing, warming up, getting your mindset, hitting balls, repetition, getting out of slumps. It's all part of that.
I love baseball, and I played a lot of baseball growing up in Montreal. And, people don't get it that, oh my God, it's slow, or it's. Baseball, to keep your concentration, as slow as the game is sometimes, you might get one ball hit to you all night, all day.
That's right.
You got to be ready. You got to make the play. So just that concentration that you need. I love baseball. I was a catcher. I could really hit for power and average. And, if I grew up somewhere else, somewhere in Florida, I think I might have a chance. Maybe, I just remember watching the Montreal Expos in Jerry Park when I was a kid, and those great teams that they had in the Olympic Stadium. Just the strike came on; they were ready to win, man.
Oh yeah.
So I was a big baseball fan, so I loved it. But all that preparation that you need and you got to pay attention to. regardless of what you're doing in life.
Yeah. So how long were you playing baseball, up to what age?
I played baseball till I went to Boston. When I was 18 years old, I went to Boston, but then I'd come home. I'd come home in the summers and I'd play softball. Every summer I played softball.
Yeah.
We'd do tournaments on the weekend. I'd play in the league during the week. So it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, that's great. Well, baseball, man, I've had a great run at baseball. Was there ever a time where you were debating between hockey and baseball?
No, not really. I really had a passion for both. I like baseball as much as I like hockey, but reality is you're growing up in Montreal and the summers are pretty short. You're not playing baseball year round. And hockey is the national sport in Canada. And I was really good at that. I knew that, my path was probably that way. So no, it was never a question. Yeah. If you ask my dad said, yeah, my son could have played for the Expos, but that's a very proud dad.
Yeah. No, that's great. I grew up in Chicago, and there was never a thing in there. You would think there'd be more hockey in Chicago. So, Ray, I moved to Florida, and now everything's hockey here. Mm-hmm. It was the most insane thing to me because I thought, I'm in the cold. No one plays on the ice, and I moved to Florida.
But the Everblades here, they've won 3 years in a row in that ECHL, and my son coached in Charleston, so they'd play against the Everblades here. So it was pretty neat when he'd come down. He'd play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So he'd stay with us during that time, and his wife would come down and bring his little son, and they'd spend kind of the week with us. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, hockey now. I mean, Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, has done an amazing job just growing the game. There's teams in Florida and Texas and California and Arizona. There was a team. There's teams all over the place. And these kids now are, playing NHL hockey that are from these states and flourishing, doing amazing things on the ice. So how he's grown the game, and kids coming out of everywhere, and I know a few kids that are from here in Florida that I met their parents. Just being here now for 5 years, it's been pretty cool to follow.
Oh yeah, what's it like seeing your son as a coach on the ice?
Well, it's both my boys. Chris played 17 years of professional hockey. He ended up playing like over 50 NHL games with Washington, Pittsburgh, and Boston, and he won 3 Calder Cups in the American Hockey League. They retired his number in Hershey last year. He's the all-time leading scorer in playoffs in Hershey Bears history. He had an amazing career. He works for the Leafs now. He's director of college free agents. He's been doing that now for 3 years for the Maple Leafs. And Ryan was coaching in Charleston, and last year he was with the national development team, under 18 in Michigan. And both my boys went to Cushing Academy, a very good hockey school in Massachusetts. And that job opened up last year, and Ryan got the head coaching job at Cushing Academy. And they just won all of New England this past year.
Nice.
So both my boys are doing what they love to do. They loved hockey. And Ryan played 11 years in the AHL as well. Played one NHL game for the New York Rangers in Madison Square Garden. So if you're going to play one game, that's where you want to play. That's right. It was really cool. My wife and I were able to get there and watch it. So very proud of my boys. They had great careers. And hockey is, they grew up around it. Chris, my oldest boy, wanted to be like Dad. And then Ryan's 5 years difference with Chris, and Ryan wanted to be like his brother Chris. So
sure.
It was pretty cool growing up and seeing them kind of follow in the hockey world.
I wonder what that's like. Hockey legend is the dad, and the kids are, following through the same path. And you always wonder if the kids, they put additional pressure on themselves because their dad is who he is.
It's what they grew up with, and sometimes I'm watching them play, and they're doing something out there, and I'm like, hey, what was that all about? And they're like, well, the kid said this or that. I'm like, hey, if you're going to play hockey, you better be ready for kids or a lot of people
Sure.
saying this or that, because your name is Bourque, and it's going to come with it. So you're going to have to deal with it, and maybe not deal the way you just did. So there's some lessons to be. It opens doors. It's an amazing life. For me. And then for your kids, I mean, the benefits that we have sometimes are, and when you're a kid, you don't realize, you're like, oh, this is the way it is, but it's not really for everybody.
Yeah.
And as good as it is sometimes, well, on the flip side, it could be tough and not so good, because some people, will be, say, oh, this kid, or, as many doors that it opens, then the flip side of it could be tough sometimes.
Sure.
To understand, especially when you're a kid. But, I have great kids. My daughter's the oldest, my wife has a spa that we built in Boston, not far from where we live. It's their 20th anniversary this year. And my wife doesn't work the spa anymore, but my daughter runs it now. So, I don't want to leave my daughter out of this.
Sure.
She's the oldest, but my kids are fabulous kids. I'm very proud of them, and they've been, they're fun to be around, and they're good teammates and good friends to their buddies, and I'm very blessed to have an amazing family.
That's what it's all about. You go through life, you do what you do to sort of pave the way to teaching your kids how to be, like you taught your son about, a message, right? Mindset.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
And they're great parents. They're good kids. And it's funny how, the teenage years, I think you told me you've got a few teenagers now, and the stuff that you go through and the lessons that have to be taught, and the stuff that, you see them experience. But this brings you back to when you were that age,
Yeah, for sure.
the stuff that we were doing, and never, I mean, I was 14 years old, just turning 15, playing with guys that were 16 to 20-year-olds. I mean, oh
Playing
my
up.
God, that was crazy.
Well,
When
that
I think
age,
back,
the size difference. And Joey plays baseball with older kids. I mean, he's the tallest, but he don't have a beard.
Yeah.
The pitcher's got a full-grown beard. He
Yeah.
drove to practice, and he's pitching against my little guy.
Yeah. But
Ray, a good friend of mine, Tony from Cornerstone, he passed away about 6 months ago, and his son actually passed away. And one of the things he said for his speech was, when you're a kid, you want to be like your father, right? But then when you're the father, you want to be like your kid. And I thought, man, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I'd love to be my kids.
Yeah, that's great.
I'd love to be that age,
Yeah.
but not only age-wise, but when I say they're good kids, I'm very proud of them. I'd be ecstatic to be them, just by how they act and how they conduct themselves. They're great dads. My daughter's a great mother, and that's, and my wife's an amazing person. She's the rock of the family. Like she's all about family and the lessons that the kids learn from the mom, and obviously I'm not bad. We've been married for 43 years. I've known my wife since I'm 11 years old. We started dating, we're 16. We used to hang around. We lived in the same area, hung around with the same friends. It was so cool, when we go back in the summers, we didn't have to go like, we got to go to her place or my place. We went back to our place, and all our friends were there in the summer, and we both knew each other's families. So it was really cool. And 43 years later, she's still an amazing person, and she's all about family. Now we have 6 grandkids, and we're always Christmas, Thanksgiving, all those special
Sure.
get-togethers. It's always our house, and we have fun. We have a blast. So good lessons to be taught or just experienced by our kids that they just continue that chain of family and being and really recognizing what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, as parents that have been married for 43 years, right? You look 43, right? I mean, you look like...
Oh, yeah,
you look
64, but who's
But-
counting?
But, you set the tone for your kids, right? It's like my parents been married for a long time. And when I met my girlfriend, when I met a girlfriend, I went to meet the parents, like Meet the Parents, the movie, right? Italian family, father kind of had a little bit of a De Niro vibe to him. And that was my first encounter with that. But they've been married forever. So it's kind of cool because both sides of our family are still married.
Yeah.
And, that's not an option for us. We
Yeah,
just-
and in today's world, it's great to see, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of quitting people
there is.
today, and sometimes, obviously sometimes it's not meant to be, but to work through stuff and to kind of figure things out
That's right.
is important. And I think when your kids experience your side of the family, her side of the family, and everybody's still together, and you and your wife, that's same thing with us. I mean, my dad, my mom passed in 1972. She had colon cancer back then, and she was like 41 years old. I was 12. So that side was kind of broken up because of health issues and all that stuff. But then my dad remarried somebody that was good friends with my mom. And I don't know if it's an arranged thing or whatever, but she was a blessing. My stepmother, till we got used to the situation. It was a little tough at the beginning, but thank God I had her. She was an amazing woman, and really appreciated her coming in and taking care of me and my younger brother. My other three siblings were a little older. They were kind of out of the house. So, still figure that, that family aspect and what she brought was awesome. But the kids experiencing what my wife and I are all about, and it's all about family and taking care of that part. Big time.
It's that change, right? In the beginning, it was tough, but then it became a thing, right? And now, look back, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Ray, you're a humble guy. That's what I love about you. I like the humble nature. Do you ever just think back and say, man, I did all this? Do you ever look back? I played 1,612 games. I won a Stanley Cup. I mean,
yeah, I'm very humble. When I talk to kids or people, I say, hey, be an animal on the ice and whatever you do, but please be humble. There's no reason not to be. I think humble is just being real and being a good person and doing things the right way.
That's right.
And doing it with respect. Respecting people and I've always been a humble guy, but the fire burns very, very hot when it's time. So the silent killer, I like to say. So, but I know what I did. I know how I did it. I think I know why I had success. Obviously, I had a lot of talent, but I worked really, really hard and paid attention to the things that I needed to pay attention to. And I'm very proud of the things that I accomplished in my career. And I always said that I wasn't going to really look at what I'm doing till it's all said and done with. And when it was all said and done with, I look back and I go, wow, I can't believe what I accomplished in my work. But it was an amazing just living a dream. I'm asked sometimes, what do you miss most about not playing? And it's like, okay, pregame meal, pregame nap, and acting like a 15-year-old every day. I mean, you're playing a game for a living.
Yeah. So Ray, how do you handle separating personal life things from just getting on the ice and making it happen?
It's totally separate. Ice was work. And then, everything that came with that, if it was workouts or preparation, that's work. And then once you step out of the rink, you step out of that building, real life is right there for you.
Yeah.
3 kids, a wife, friends, and same thing that everybody deals with. I mean, your kids are in school, whatever issues pop up, you deal with. And the cool thing is, my work was playing hockey, playing a game. So I thought I was pretty lucky. But very easy to separate both. Try not to bring too much home with you. I mean, the good times, the good moments are easy to bring home. The bad ones you don't want to really bring home with you. I was always, but my makeup is, my glass is half full. I'm always looking to be positive, to find solutions. Let it be in life or work. I was always a really good player. I led by example. But I was always one of the leaders of my teams, as a kid or professionally. When I got to the NHL, I was asked to be captain. I think it was my 6th year in the league, 5th or 6th year. I just turned 25, I think. A very, very scary, when they approached me, I was like, I don't know about this. For me, I had Wayne Cashman that was captain when I came in as an 18-year-old, an amazing captain for, I think I was 2 or 3 years with Cash, and then Terry O'Reilly was our captain after Wayne. And for me, Terry O'Reilly was, if you look up what is a Boston Bruin in the dictionary, I think his picture should be there. He was the hardest working, toughest guy I've ever played with. Terry was like the next guy in line. And then when they asked me, I thought Rick Middleton was the next guy in line because he was the veteran of the team and had been there for quite a while. And I thought he was the next guy in line. And I was like, whoa, what about Rick? So then they came back to me and they said, well, what about if you just share the captaincy with him? So we did that for 2 years. So that transition really helped me to kind of transition to that next step of leadership at that level. When you're all the same age and your peers and all that stuff, it's okay, it's cool, easy. But now, I'm playing with guys that are older than me and all that stuff. And when you're winning and things are going great, you're captain, you don't have to do anything.
Sure.
You just keep things going, right? But when things aren't going so well and you got to bring people together and find solutions, that's tough. And I was always a quiet, shy kid growing up. I can't believe what I turned into, the stuff that I've done, or, talking to 500 people or telling my story. And I was a kid in the back of the class, not saying a word and shy. And that was me growing up.
Yeah.
Where I felt the freest and the most comfortable was when I stepped on that ice. For me, that was like, oh my God, that's my place.
Yeah.
That's where I let it go. So leading by example was so easy, and working hard and all the preparation that came with that, all that stuff. But then, maybe stepping up in the middle of a dressing room, talking to 20 guys and trying to find solutions for problems. Wow, that took a little time for me to kind of get comfortable with. And that transition with Rick Middleton for 2 years really helped me get there on that.
Yeah.
So we were, I think the question was, how you do, so not bringing it home, the bad times, you don't want to bring that home.
Sure.
I don't want to burden my wife or my kids with, maybe things aren't going so well. But my glass was always half full. I always believed I'd find solutions or find a way to kind of get things right, and always thought in a positive way.
Yeah.
And when I talked about, being perfect or trying to be perfect, regardless of what I did today, great or not so great, it had to be better tomorrow. So I never stopped and thought about what I did today. For a second at the end of the game, you're like, great job. Good. All right. You did your job.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you got to be better. And thinking that way always, and again, I think that's why I was consistent. And you look at my numbers, you look at my seasons, and they're all very similar. And that was the attitude that I brought out every day and my work.
That's great. Ray, in real estate, when people go to hire someone, right? Listing appointment, they always hire a few different people, right? And I just said, listen, it's like sports, hiring someone that you want to work with, right? Do you want to hire someone that had bad 40 home runs or scored X amount of goals per year for 1 year? Or do you want to hire somebody that's had a great season every season, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it works with me. It's like, I can't look at what I sold last year because it's a new year.
Yeah.
That last year doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yesterday doesn't matter. Everything matters today. Has being a captain helped you in life?
Yeah, I think, yes. Because being in a leadership position, I think, helps you in life. It helps you go forward. It helps you fight through stuff. It helps you find solutions, and just makes you fight, and respected. I mean, people look up at you because you kind of have that. You like some people. Wow, they walk in a room and you're like, whoa, wow, who's that guy, right? And that guy has confidence, and I think, being a captain and having to be in that position, you kind of have that.
Yeah, it's not only how you're playing, but now you got to motivate everybody else, right?
And you're a leader. And it's not so much for me. It wasn't. Yeah, I'd have to say stuff, but just watch me. Watch how I do things.
Yeah.
Watch how I practice. Watch how I work out. Watch how I just, I was very lucky to go to Boston with a team that was so rich in tradition and history and all that. And I was treated so good, as a young rookie coming in. And I learned, Peter McNabb was one of my teammates, and he passed, I think 1.5 years, 2 years ago. But Peter always said that I didn't speak English when I came to Boston. I grew up speaking French and English. I was totally bilingual. I didn't speak. I just watch and listen. And again, I was that quiet, shy guy. I watched, listened, and learned, what being a Bruin was all about. And when young guys would come in, in camp, our draft picks and all our young guys, I'd be the first guy going up to them. Hey, how are you? Ray Bourque, welcome. And anything you need, I'm there. I've been around for a while, and or your wife or girlfriend, we're here for you guys. So, and if the guy was called up his first NHL game, I'd be the first guy greeting him at the door, and those are important things. Just comfort level and to feel welcome,
being a good sportsman.
And that's how I was treated coming in, and again, watch and listen, and how I do things, or because you're the next guy in line, right? And when you have your leaders, when you have your top guys doing things the right way and they're your best people, I mean, you're in business, because that chain just, when you're gone, that guy that's been watching you is going to do it the right way. And that's passed on and passed on. So when I talk about rich in tradition and the history that the Boston Bruins had, that's it. And you got a job to do. You got to pass that torch. When you're gone, man, it's got to be done the same way,
right.
if not better.
Yeah.
Right? So
you talked about, when you're playing good, right? Everything's great. Obviously, when things aren't good, people go into slumps. That's a part of sports, no matter if it's baseball, hockey, tennis, whatever it is. What were some things that you did if your teammates or you started going down a path where you weren't playing like you wanted to?
Simplify. Go back to the basics, simplify. And it's so hard sometimes that when things aren't going well, you're trying even harder and harder and harder, and you're trying to do too much. And that's when I say simplify and go back to the basics. And always remember, have fun. You forget about that.
Yeah.
When the pressure's on and you're like, man, I suck. And how do I gotta be better. And the pressure you put on yourself. And then, when you remind yourself, hey, man, when am I at my best? It was when I'm having fun and smiling and enjoying what I'm doing, because as fun as playing a sport is, sometimes you forget all about that. And for me, those were key things to kind of bring myself back.
Sure.
I remember I was going through a really tough spell at some point, and I just remember I'm in Pittsburgh reading the paper, and Gretzky was hurt. He hadn't played hardly all year. He had a bad back, and he's talking in this article about how much he misses not playing and being part of the team and playing hockey, and how sometimes you take it for granted, and when you're hurt and you're not around it and you can't play, how much you miss it. And that just unleashed and unlocked my thoughts about just crushing myself with this pressure and trying to do too much. And I just, oh my God, come on. Let's go have fun. I had a great game that night, and bang,
That's
you
right.
take off again.
That's great. Well, as a defenseman, right, you're scoring a lot of goals. You put the pressure on yourself, because I'm sure at some point they said, they want to start seeing more goals, right? I mean,
but it wasn't so much about the scoring or it's just how I was playing, and yeah, obviously I wasn't playing, not putting up numbers and all that, but for me it wasn't so much about numbers. It was just mistakes that I was making, and I was always one that would play against the best offensive line on the other team. So for me, first job foremost was shutting them down. I got so much out of just shutting down the best players in the other team as scoring a big goal, because you're shutting down their best line. Now you got way better chance to win the hockey
That's
game.
right.
So yeah, numbers, scoring and assists and all that's fun, but just overall game is an important one that you like to be consistent. But you 80 game schedule, you're going to have your moments where it's you have your ups and downs.
Yeah.
And finding a way to get out of those dark times sometimes is
well, it's all in your head, right? And that's the biggest thing. It's most sports, where they say 99% of it is in your head, and the 1% is your skill. I mean, I'm sure it's not that, but that's what they say, right? I always think of Pete Rose, and I know you like baseball, and he said, when I'm in a slump, did you ever see that thing he did on TV? Stand back in the box. If the pitcher's throwing fast, I'll step back in the box, I choke up. If he's throwing more junk, I'll step up in the box, choke up, scoot close to the plate. He's telling you all these things, right? But it's so easy to say that, but when you're out there, you do put pressure on yourself.
Pete Rose and have most hits in baseball. That's pretty good advice.
Yeah, it is. It is. The kids playing baseball, sometimes it's contagious, right? The team gets upset, someone starts crying, they walk with their head down, and I look at the boys, And I want to see how they're reacting to that. And sometimes when they're younger, they want to put their head down too. And I said, buddy, keep your head up, man. Don't feel like you have to be upset because somebody else is upset. How did you play? Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
It's got to be positive, and like I said, the glass is, it's so much better when it's half full.
Yeah.
When you got that kind of mentality, and that's how you think, it's, you get out of stuff a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And you'll have more success because that positivity is important.
That's right. Well, Ray, sitting here with you, I got to say, man, you look great. I mean, I don't know about injuries in your career, but I mean, you look good. You're in great shape. I mean, tell me about some of the injuries in the game.
Well, I hurt my knees, MCLs, twice on both knees. The first time I was out for 8 weeks. I missed 20 games. That was the longest I was out. But those heal up really well. In the off season, everything tightens up again, and 3 months of working out and all that stuff, that comes right back 100%. But I don't have any artificial parts on my body. I have my knees, I have my hips, I have my shoulders. I broke my jaw in a fight. Right here, I was wired up for 6 weeks. Then the next year, I got a slap shot right under the helmet here. I crushed my whole sinus. I had surgery there. I missed 6 weeks there. I broke my wrist twice. The knees, separated shoulders, but I feel fine.
Yeah.
I'm like so many of my teammates. They have knee replacements, hip replacements, shoulder replacements. I mean, I feel great. I play golf 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, I feel fine. So I'm very lucky.
Great. What's the handicap?
Index this morning was 5.9.
Okay, all right.
I've had an amazing run.
Nice.
My last 6, 7 rounds were 76, 74, 80, 83, 76, 75 yesterday. So I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. I'm feeling pretty good these days.
It just happens.
But it can't last.
Yeah.
The minute I say this now, today I'm going to go play. And
That's right.
I'll be in the 80s somewhere. But I love it. Thank God I have golf. Really passionate about that.
What a mindset game that is, huh?
Oh my God! That when you're talking about 6 inches right here, man.
Yeah,
that's
it is.
Mine.
It is. I had my best round. So, my son Joey, he's baseball. He had a home run on the big field as a freshman playing varsity, home run, and then another home run the week after, and then he went into a little bit of a slump, and it reminds me of my golf game. Ray, I shot 75, and the next round I couldn't get rid of the hosel on the club was meeting the ball before the club fade.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
It was meeting the club.
Don't say that shot. My grandson's 12. He's turning 13 May 5th. He's a really good baseball player. Good hockey player too, but he's playing baseball right now. He hit his first homer.
Did he? Nice.
And so once I get back to Boston, we go back in May, and I'll be watching him play a lot of baseball.
You can always tell who the parents are because they're behind the fence with the camera, right? But man, what a great feeling. I remember running on the field. My son had his first home run in Little League, and I ran on the field. And he said, you're not supposed to run in the field. I said, well, all rules, don't apply when my boy hits a home run. I ran on the field and gave him a hug.
That's cool.
Nothing like it.
I remember hitting my first homer in Montreal, playing with my buddies. Like, hockey season, we'd meet at the park. We had outdoor ice. Every day we'd meet, and in the summer we'd play baseball every day. And I remember hitting my first home run. We had a high fence, but on top of the fence, he had a mesh. That I remember hitting my first home run there and just couldn't wait to get home to tell my dad.
Yeah.
I was like 10 years old. I was like, wow, that was cool.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Ray, you ever missed a game?
Like I said, what do you miss most? It's acting like a 15-year-old every day,
Yeah.
and what you miss is, I was 40 years old, and I had another year on my contract, but so I left Boston because things were going so well. We always had competitive teams and all that stuff, and for maybe a 3-year stretch there, we were awful, and I really thought that was unfair to the fans and to me, and it was affecting me because I was always wanting to bring energy and fun and positivity to the rink, and it was tough to do. And I was 38 years old, and I was like, I wanted to get back into a healthy environment where we could compete and have a chance to win. So I actually asked to be traded. I never thought I would ever leave Boston. And I think, I went to Colorado for that year and a half and had an amazing experience. And going there, I only had, the rest of that year on my contract. And once I got there, I knew that, man, this is going to be fun, and I'm coming back for one more year. So Pierre Lacroix was the general manager. I said, Pierre, just give me the same contract I had last year.
Yeah.
Give me 1 year. I'm only playing 1 more year. He says, no, I'm giving you a 2-year deal. I said, I don't want a 2-year deal. I said, give me a 1 year. He says, no. So I had a 2-year deal, but I knew, I didn't tell anybody other than my wife. I said, this is it, regardless of what happens. But we ended up winning the cup that year. And I was like, so I didn't go back. I had another year to go back to, but that was it for me. I was 40 years old, and I knew that having to do the things that I was doing and had to do to play at that level, and I averaged the most minutes played out of anybody my last year at 40 years old, 27 plus minutes a game. But I knew to go back and do that again, I didn't think I had it in me.
Yeah.
So, it was a great way to win. I won my last game. It was an amazing experience. But that was it.
Yeah.
But and it's tough, that I think it was tougher for my wife having me around all the time than for me, but I didn't want to get back. I didn't want to go into coaching. I didn't want to go management. I just wanted to enjoy my 2 kids. I had my daughter that was a senior at Governor Dummer. That was a prep school, probably 20 minutes. She was boarding. She was playing basketball, soccer, and lacrosse. My son was a freshman at Cushing Academy. So he was playing baseball and hockey there. And then my youngest son was 10, and he was playing hockey and lacrosse and all that stuff. So I was just going around watching my kids play and supporting. And then I'd go to Cushing twice a week for practice. I'd go to 2 practices, and then I'd go to all the games, and I'd be behind the bench helping with the defense. And the coaches were awesome, let me do my thing and all that. So that was a lot of fun, and that kept me, busy doing all that stuff. And then I became a spokesman for Bank North. Their headquarters they were in Portland, Maine, but they were all over New England and growing, and now they're TD Bank. They were bought by TD Bank. Yeah. So I did that for 11 years, but that was all maybe 10 occurrences a year and all night stuff and all that. So, and I didn't want to travel like, being a coach or, and as a player, all you got to worry about is really making sure you're ready to play and all that stuff. But coaching now, it's hours and hours, and I don't want to be that busy, and I want to enjoy the kids and the family because hockey took up a lot of my time for 9 months a year. So I just wanted to be a dad and do my thing, and it was awesome, and it was great.
Look what you built now.
Yeah,
kids, grandkids, everything. It's really, really awesome. And I remember it being a special moment. Right, you're with Boston for so long, then you went to Colorado, Stanley Cup, and I think everybody was just so happy for you.
Yeah, and you know what? People in Boston really understood why I left, and they were so happy for me. Coming back after that, I was traded in March, and we ended up losing to Dallas in the 7th game, my first year there. I come back in the summer, and everybody was like, oh my God, Ray, awesome, almost, and we had so much fun watching you. It kept us up late at night because it's 2 hours difference in Boston, and I was going back. And then when I went back, people were just so excited for me to have an opportunity. And then when the playoffs came, Hillman is a radio guy in Boston, and he had the radio show in the morning, and they ended up, when I made it to the finals, they had a big banner, a billboard in Colorado wishing Ray Bourque luck from Boston, right? And then we end up winning, and the mayor of Boston, their office calls my agent, says, we'd like to have a day for Ray at City Hall. And my agent, I'm like, Steve Fryer is my agent. I said, Steve, I'm not doing that. I said, I don't want to embarrass the Bruins. And he said, well, what about if the Bruins sign off on it? I said, well, I'll think about it. If they're fine with it, I'll think about it. So the Bruins were fine with it. I come back from Colorado with the cup, and there's 10,000 people at City Hall celebrating me winning in Colorado. I mean, how crazy is that? And
Wow.
to this day, people are just, they welcome me back with open arms.
Yeah.
I was never not going to go back to Boston. I always said that's home for me and my family, and we love it there. And, we winter in Florida now, but we're home, May to November. Great area. We love it. But that experience in Colorado was, I went to 2 finals with the Bruins in 88 and 90, and we played the Oilers, Edmonton twice, and we didn't really match up well. We lost in 4, then in 5 games. But getting the job done in Colorado was amazing. And what was really amazing was, I knew this was it for me, regardless if we won or not. So we win game 1 in the finals against New Jersey. We lose game 2. We win game 3. We lose game 4. Now we're going back to Colorado to play game 5, and they blow us out. I think it was 5-1 or 5-2. And now we're down 3-2 to the defending champs, and we're going to New Jersey to play game 6. And I'm like, this could be my last game ever played in the NHL. So I'm really taking everything in. Our last practice at a practice rink, and then you fly to New Jersey. So I had all my siblings, my dad, my siblings, my wife's dad, her siblings, and my best friends at that game, just in case it was my last game. Well, we win 4-0. Now I bring everybody to Colorado knowing that's my last game. But everything that was happening, the pregame skate, the pregame meal, the nap, you're taking everything in. It was such a cool experience. Yeah. And then you end up winning it all. And I mean, it was crazy. And then I had a 15-passenger van there with a big cooler in there for everybody that was there. Some people were staying at the hotel. Some people were staying at my house in Colorado. And so after the game, we have a party. We all go to this place called the Chop House. The whole team's there, management, all that. We're having a great time. And I have this van, and the general manager, Pierre Lacroix, says, bring the cup home with you tonight. I'm like, awesome. So I got the cup in the front seat. Now I bring everybody back to my house. So I put the cup, I turn on our street, start beeping the horn. It's 2:30 in the morning. Now the cup's on the sidewalk, the cooler's in the street, and we're there till about 5:36 a.m. partying with my neighbors after winning the cup. So it was like,
oh, that's amazing.
Amazing.
What a great finish to your career. Last game, because you thought the game before, just in case, right?
Yeah, could be.
But man, talk about a cherry on top. I mean, that is just an awesome finish.
Yeah.
When you held that thing over your head.
What a relief.
Yeah.
Finally, it was like, oh my God. Because, they were always, oh, Ray Bourque's a great player, this and that, but he's never won the cup. That burns like no tomorrow when you hear that. I mean, so many great players. When you play a team sport, so many things have to go right, and it's so hard to win. It is so hard to win. And I played with amazing players, Brad Park, Jean Rattel. I played with some great players that never won the cup, but it's not because they weren't great players. It's just, it's hard to win.
Yeah.
And to be able to say that I won, you just wish everybody gets that experience, because there's no better feeling.
You did it, man.
Yeah.
You did it.
Big
That's
time.
awesome. Were there any rivals that you became good friends with after hockey?
Yeah. I mean, Montreal and Boston, I mean, the rivalry there was amazing. And I was on both ends of that, meaning that I was a big Montreal Canadiens fan when I was a kid because I grew up there. I used to miss school to go to the parades that when they win the cup, and in late 70s they won 4 cups in a row. So I'm going to the cup parties, and next thing you know, I'm drafted by the Bruins. So that all ended pretty quick once I was drafted by the Bruins. But every year, the NHL, they have an all-star game, and I played in a lot of them. But the one year, instead of the all-star game, they had this two-game tournament against the Red Army team, and it was called Rendezvous, and it was played in Quebec City. So there's instead of the usual all-star game, they had NHL all-stars. So it could have been Americans, Canadians. It was guys from all different teams. It was the best players in the league, best NHL team put together, and all that stuff. So we fly to Quebec the first night there. We have meetings and we have dinner as a team. But the wives, they all go out and they party, and they're, I'm back in my room at 10 o'clock. My wife comes in, rolls in around 1 a.m. and feel, oh my God, it's so much fun. I met the coolest girl.
Yeah.
And you know what? We got to get together with them when we come home in the summer in Montreal. I said, who are you talking about? And she says, oh, Carole Lemieux, Claude Lemieux's wife. That is one of the most hated guys in the league, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest rival to the Canadian.
Sure.
I said, Christiane, my wife, I said, that's not happening. I said, so next morning we go to practice, pregame skate, and I see Claude. I'm like, oh my God, I guess the wives met. He says, yeah. I said, Claude, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And we're laughing, right? And so I come home in the summer. So we get together, we go out, we play some golf together, and we have dinners, and so I get to know Claude off the ice. And there's not a bad guy, I mean, he's a bad guy because he's for the Canadians and he's a hated guy, how he plays and all that stuff. But as a person, a great guy. So I have a golf tournament in the summer in Montreal, and like 5 or 6 of my teammates in the Bruins, they come to the tournament, and they're like, what is he doing here? I'm like, guys, come on. I said, he's a good guy and all that. So they'd rub it in every time we play Montreal, and, oh, you're playing your buddy tonight, so you got to take it easy on him and all that kind of stuff. So that's for example, that's one of them that, was a hated rival that I got to know pretty good and hung out with.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
But you know what? It's like, I really got to say that hockey players are. I've never met a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of good people in our game, and it speaks a lot about the character and who these people are.
Well, hockey's one of those games I feel like, it's a team, right? Everybody gets along. You play as a team. You lose as a team. I feel like it's different than a lot of other sports. You get the brotherhood in hockey. Baseball, I don't feel it, in my opinion, or some other sports may not be that way. Why do you think it's that way?
Well, I think baseball is still a team sport, but I think it comes through individual, right? Like, nobody's going to help you in the batter's box other than, your coach or your batting coach or whatever, but you still got to hit the ball and catch the ball and throw the ball, right? I could mess up on the ice and the goalie makes an amazing save, or somebody messes up, I support, I break it up, it's more of a team game that teamwork, I think, in hockey is very important.
Yeah.
And the chemistry that comes with, a team that has success is a special bond.
Yeah.
Special bond. And when I said earlier that, when your best players are your best people and create that atmosphere and that culture is so important.
Yeah.
So important.
That's great. Well, you look at the way that hockey has become today. travel hockey is insane. I mean, I got friends that are,
especially
4
if you're
days a
playing,
week.
You're playing here in Florida or these, like Texas or even Chicago where you're from. I mean, these kids, they'll go to St. Louis and that's part of their league games, and I mean, my kids grew up in Massachusetts. We drive an hour, we're like, oh my God, what a road trip, right? Because we have so many hockey, the state of Massachusetts or the state of Minnesota. I mean, the hockey there, is totally different than if you grew up in Dallas or Phoenix or even Chicago. Chicago has a lot of teams, but St. Louis, I mean, these teams have to travel a lot to get competition and to play in these really top leagues. So.
Yeah. You almost wonder if too much is not good either, right? Travel, because...
Yeah, I always, for me, I'm like, I think sports now has become like, if you play hockey, you only play hockey, and you do it year round. I'm like, I'm not for that. I played hockey, baseball, and I couldn't wait to play baseball, and I couldn't wait. I had to get away. I said, get away from it, guys, because I think if you don't get away from it, you got your bag on your shoulder, you're playing year round, you got the same look on your face. Don't skate, don't play for 3 months and see how excited you are to come back. And that, that excitement and that passion. I just think it could stale you out a little bit, if you just do one. And plus, I think playing different sports, I think makes you a better athlete.
Yeah, it does.
Overall.
And especially in different sports, every parent thinks their kid's the next,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Ray Bourque coming up.
The hockey world, the hockey parents, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
There's some special ones out there.
Well, Ray, what an amazing career, man. And what a great guy. And I since hockey, you've developed some other things. I know you got some exciting things. So let's hear about what's going on today.
Well, I'm a restaurateur. I'm part of 2 restaurants. I've had Tresca in the North End. It's a high-end Italian restaurant. And the North End is like Little Italy of Boston. It's 1 square mile of 70 Italian restaurants, and there's only one street that has two-way traffic. It's all one-ways or these little alleys. It's a beautiful area in Boston. It's a 5-minute walk to the Garden where the Bruins and the Celtics play and concerts. So we get really nice crowds before games and concerts and all that stuff. But I've been part of that for 20 years, and that's doing really well. And then the other restaurant is called Red's Kitchen Tavern. It's in Seabrook, New Hampshire, and that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner with entertainment at night. So two totally different things, and both restaurants are doing well. The restaurant business I was always advised not to get involved in the restaurant business, but I got involved 20 years ago trying to help a friend, and no longer, long story short, no longer a friend, no longer part of the business, but I stayed in it, and I had 3 new partners 8 years ago that made a world of difference in that business, and one guy is Rich and Sarah, that is our chef. Amazing man, he's out there talking. If you're having dinner there with your wife, he'll come over, ask you, hey, what do you feel like? Or how was your dinner? And he's in the kitchen, he's out, he's like, and you don't get that touch anymore. And Rich, one of the partners, and the other guy is like a CPA, kind of numbers guy. Then the other guy is a marketing guy, and then there's me. So we form a great team, and it's been a world of difference the last 8 years, doing really well. And then, I've always been involved in different charities over the years. The Bruins, every year they'd have a couple things that they'd be part of. So I kind of grew up, being part of the community and trying to make a difference. So 8 or 9 years ago, we started the Bourque Family Foundation that our whole family's involved. Our events, we have a road race and a walk that we have in May. We have a golf tournament every year, the month of August. And then we have my wife. We had that for a while. Then my wife asked, hey, can we have something that has nothing to do with sports, where the girls could get dressed up and go out and have a nice night? So we created a black tie event pre-COVID that we had before COVID, and then it was canceled 3 years because of COVID. And during that time, Pete Frady, I don't know if you know this name, but Pete Frady is the one that created the Ice Bucket Challenge 10 years ago that raised almost $300 million for ALS,
Yeah.
To bring awareness and funds to the ALS community. And we were always really involved in helping the Fradys with whatever they were doing. And during COVID, at the end of COVID, Pete passed. And all our events that we've done over the years, we've always donated to over 60 different charities in New England. And we never really locked into one specific cause, because I think there's so many great causes out there, and we just want to spread the wealth. Once Pete passed, my wife and I said that the ball is going to be in Pete's memory. And the Healy Center out of Mass General is there for research and treatment at Mass General, called the Healy Center. And Pete Frady's Family Foundation gives grants out to families affected with ALS. So once Pete passed, we said strictly ALS for this event. And it's been 3 years now. It's an amazing night. We donate money to research at the Healy Center and Pete Frady's Family Foundation.
Yeah.
So very proud of what we do. The kids, all the grandkids, my kids, we're all involved in every event. We have fun, we have music, we have a good time in whatever we do. So very proud of what we've done so
That's
far
great.
in that.
Well, that's a great cause, and it's great that you have taken all these, because we try to give back, right, to really sort of one thing and creating your own thing for the cause. Do you see it making an impact on ALS? Do you feel like at some point they're going to...
Well, research, there's some breaks, there's some clinical trials that are happening all the time. They found some things that kind of slow it down just a touch, but I've done a lot of stuff for cystic fibrosis. Gordy Kluzak's a teammate of mine, a very good friend of mine. Gordy has raised, got to be over $10 million with his golf tournament, and he had a pool tournament. He's been involved in this for got to be 30 years now. And I've seen what money has done for cystic fibrosis. They don't call it a cure, but 95% of kids that have cystic fibrosis now are living long, healthy, way better lives, and it's all because of the money that's been raised in that cystic fibrosis community. So for us, I think I'm making a difference. But they need so much more and so much more. So bringing awareness to that cause and raising money, I'm hoping 30 years from now we could say that the same thing has happened to treat this horrible disease, ALS. So.
I've lost a few friends that way, and it's a terrible disease.
It's awful.
When you're younger, you worry about your heart. Heart when you're a kid, right? Heart attack or something. You worry about those things, but then as you get older, you go, man. There's certain ones you just don't want.
There's a lot, yeah. And I remember meeting Pete. This kid was so special. He was diagnosed at 27 years old. I remember meeting him at Tresca with his family, with Nancy and John, and talking about how can we raise money for ALS. And we're talking how we're going to put a hockey game together and have one big night. And we did that and all that. But they started their foundation, so we've always kind of been involved. But this kid, when he was diagnosed, he was always captains of his baseball, football, and hockey teams. He's a really good baseball player. He played at BC, and BC would play the Red Sox in a spring training game every year at Fenway Park, and he hit a homer against the Red Sox. A great athlete, and so when he was diagnosed, he asked the doctor, what is it going to take? And she said, money. And he says, how much? She said, $1 billion. And he says, I'm on it. And whenever he was asked about having ALS, he always said, it's an opportunity. I mean, this is how special this kid was. So I got to know Pete over the years, and, just it's sad.
How long did he live till?
I think he lived 8 years.
Okay. Which is actually a long time, right?
But to keep him alive the last few years, it was $3,000 a day care that he had to have. And, he couldn't breathe on his own.
Yeah.
and so Pete was there, and the only thing is his eyes, right? That's the only thing you could move.
Yeah.
And he'd have his computer there, and he'd communicate in that way.
Yeah.
Horrible disease where the mind is fine and the body is just gone.
Yeah.
Right? And then, Alzheimer's is like, one of my best friends in Montreal, 63 years old, got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and that's completely the other way, right? The body's fine, and the mind is not so fine. And so...
Are they making any impacts on that yet?
Some.
Like that's
yeah.
you start.
I think that's a little more advanced,
Yeah.
I think, than ALS. But those two things that are close to my heart because of the people that I got to meet over the years.
Yeah. Well, Ray, maybe one day our kids will say, "Hey, remember my grandfather?"
Yeah. Well, we're trying to build something that I hope continues with my grandkids, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully their kids.
Yeah.
To keep going.
That's right.
And when we talk about family, that's what they experience at a young age and all that stuff. So you're hoping that keeps going.
Pass it on.
Yeah.
Ray, do you do anything locally here for this charity?
Yeah, Nancy Frady, Pete's mom, and John, they hold a golf tournament. They had a tournament in the fall for ALS, and another couple that their daughter passed with some kind of cancer. So it's a dual kind of thing, and it's at Bonita Bay. They use 2 courses here.
Yeah.
They're having it again next year. So that's something that they started. I think that's going to be happening every year.
Let me know about that.
I sure will.
Maybe we'll be in the same foursome. I'll keep you entertained, Ray. I'll show you how somebody could hit a 300-yard drive and hit the next shot 4 feet. That's.
I've seen that done.
Yeah,
I've done that a few times myself.
Yeah, Ray. One more thing about the restaurant. You're right in. I know exactly where you're at. A few years back, I went to Boston. What's funny about Boston to me is that they always say, it's so far, right? It's way across town, but then way across town, I could walk there. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a small town.
Oh, yeah. There's these pockets in Boston. You got the North End, the South End. You have the Back Bay. You have the theater districts. It's all these pockets,
Yeah.
That you could walk. I mean, a 30-minute walk, you're hitting all these places.
Yeah. Great town.
Yeah, it is.
Not
great
as
town.
seasonal as a restaurant owner would be here.
No.
Because here it shuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it is,
Yeah.
I guess it would still be.
starting to get quiet.
Yeah.
Some people were heading north.
The car carriers.
Yeah. Well, you remind me, I got to make a call.
Yeah.
I got a couple cars I got to ship back.
Yeah. So, Ray, give me some words from the wise to the younger generation hockey player.
Hey, it's working hard. Like I said earlier, be an animal on the ice and be humble off the ice. Work hard, be respectful, have fun, just enjoy it. I started playing hockey because I loved it and I had fun doing it. Never that I was dreaming about being an NHL player because I grew up in Montreal and all that stuff because I loved watching them. But never that I thought, I was going to be there. Dream big and regardless if you play high school hockey, college hockey, professional hockey, you're just playing it because you love it. And we all end up in the same place in the end, playing in the beer league on Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock at night. So, it's something that could stick with you forever. And it's I still skate. I skate at Hertz. We have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday skate at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And I skate once or twice a week with guys from, Michigan, Ontario, Boston, Minnesota, a great bunch of guys.
Yeah.
We're all 60-year-old guys, and we have a blast doing it.
That's great. Got to keep the Sharpie hidden somewhere, Ray, for the autographs.
You never know, huh?
Yeah. But Ray, you look great, man, and it's really a pleasure sitting down with you today. I really appreciate your time, and it's great to be with a legend and just a normal, humble guy, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I think the message from today is, you find something you love, you do it, you give it 100%. And if if there is a possibility where you can take it to the next level, you do. But you enjoy the game. There's going to be struggles. You're going to go through slumps. You're going to win. You're going to lose. But it's not about the wins, because the wins are easy, right? It's how you handle the losses and how you handle the times where things aren't going your way. But, when you sit down here with someone who's did it, you realize that he did it, but it's all about the humble nature and teaching your kids how to be good humans, right? And teaching them how to be good parents. And now that you're a grandparent, now your kids can come back to you and say, hey, Dad, you were right. And sometimes, sometimes we're not lucky enough for those things to happen. So, because we may not make it as long. But you're healthy, you're a young guy. I cannot believe that you've played the amount of games you have, and you're sitting here with me and you look like you could run a marathon. So,
well, I always thought I'd run a marathon, but I always thought I'd run the Boston Marathon one day for charity, and I can't run that far anymore. I mean, when I say at the end, my left hip and my right Achilles would act up once in a while, and a lot of my training was running and all that stuff. But then we kind of, I had a speed bike, like an 18-speed race bike that I would train as well. So it was a mix of biking and running that I would train in the summer and all that stuff. But I could never run a marathon.
Yeah.
But I thought, for the longest time that I would.
Yeah. Just you being there, your presence, it would be enough.
Now we have a bid. We have a bib that somebody runs for our foundation to raise money for our foundation.
Great.
And the Boston Marathon.
Nice. Ray, tell the viewers and listeners where they can find more information about the charity.
You go to BourqueFamilyFoundation.org and you'll hear all about what we've done and what we're doing. And if you like what we're doing and you like what you see, we'd love to have you jump on board and help us out.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. You can find me on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, the Joe Pavich